And we have a fanfare, please. Good morning and welcome to the February 12th, 2021 Environmental Management Commission meeting. We have a quorum present. And our first agenda item is to consider the minutes from the meeting of December 11th, 2020. These have been distributed to all the members to look through. And if that has happened, I'll entertain a motion to adopt these minutes as written.
So moved.
Second. And a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Debbie, do we need to sign anything?
No, I'll get you to sign the certification after.
All right. Now we're going to ask Mr. LaFleur to come forward for his report from the director.
I have removed my mask once again so that you all will be able to hear me a little better. Good morning, and everybody, welcome to the third meeting of the Alabama Environmental Management Commission for FY 2021. Normally, this February report would focus on the EPA dashboards for air, land, water, and drinking water that compare all states on compliance and enforcement. We'll review the updated dashboards at the April Commission meeting. By way of reminder, the ADEM update memo that goes out before each Commission meeting has the latest EPA dashboard showing the size of the regulated universe, inspection rates, non-compliance rates, and enforcement actions for air, hazardous waste, water, and drinking water. Today's report will focus on the latest developments regarding two environmental contaminants that have received considerable media attention in the last several years: coal combustion residuals, or CCR, and per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, abbreviated PFAS. First, coal combustion residuals, sometimes referred to as coal ash. The concern is with the unlined impoundments containing coal ash material where contaminants can be released to groundwater. Coal ash management is an issue both nationally and here in Alabama. We begin with the question of what are coal combustion residuals. CCR is the solid material remaining after the combustion of coal for the production of electricity by electric generating utilities. It's comprised of bottom ash, fly ash, which is the particles that rise and are captured by a baghouse or electrostatic precipitator, and the solid material generated when flue gases are subjected to a chemical reaction to remove sulfur and other air contaminants. Coal ash has been determined by EPA to be non-hazardous. However, coal ash does contain naturally occurring elements that can, at elevated levels, be hazardous to human health. These include lead, arsenic, cadmium, barium, and lithium. Coal ash can be in either a wet form or a dry form. This slide shows as red dots the 9 sites in Alabama where CCR have been deposited. The total number of individual CCR disposal units on those 9 sites is 16. 12 are unlined units shown as blue dots in the gray information box. These are the ones of primary concern. 2 have closed and 10 will be closing. All will be remediated. The 4 remaining CCR disposal units are lined and will continue to be operational. 2 are surface impoundments and 2 are landfills. They are shown as yellow dots in the gray information box. At each site where utilities generate electricity, there may be 1 or more electric generating unit, or EGU. Prior to promulgation of the state CCR rules in 2015, there were 39 coal-fired EGUs that generated coal ash at the 9 plant sites in Alabama. 34 of those coal-fired EGUs were generating coal ash that was sluiced or transported via water to surface impoundments. Currently, there are only 7 coal-fired EG units statewide generating coal ash. All are using dry handling, so the practice of wet handling has stopped. All dry coal ash currently generated is stored in lined units or is being recycled. On the non-coal-fired side, prior to the CCR rules in 2015, only 8 natural gas EGUs in Alabama had replaced coal-fired units. As of today, 18 natural gas EGUs operating in Alabama have replaced coal-fired units, with 1 more under development. Replacing the wet coal ash handling coal-fired EGUs with those burning natural gas or with alternate energy sources means there is little chance of new groundwater impacts from CCR generation in Alabama. Next, the status of state CCR permitting. As of today, the department has issued final permits for the closure of unlined CCR surface impoundments at 3 of the 9 sites. Each of these sites has a single unlined surface impoundment. The closure plans meet the federal and state requirements for closure in place, and the permits incorporate that provision. 2 additional draft permits will be going out on notice for public comment next week and are anticipated to be final by mid-year. Draft permits for the remaining plant sites are being developed and anticipated to be out for public comment by the middle of this year, with final permits before year end. The 2 primary issues related to CCR are the closure of unlined impoundments and the remediation of groundwater contamination caused by CCR in those impoundments. The permits will address both closure and remediation. First, the status of closing the 12 unlined CCR disposal units at the 9 utility plant sites in Alabama. Each of the 9 sites will have a permit that includes a closure plan designed specifically for that particular site. Initial steps towards closure of the unlined surface impoundments at all sites is now underway, despite some sites still having not yet completed the permitting process. Dewatering the impoundments is the first phase of closure, regardless of what method of closure is utilized. Permits to allow dewatering will be in place at all but 1 plant site by mid-year. Dewatering has commenced or been completed at 6 of the 9 utility plant sites. And dewatering will take several years to complete. ADEM will monitor closure progress for compliance with CCR permit requirements. Moving on to the second CCR issue, groundwater remediation. Groundwater remediation plans are in development through an iterative process similar to that used to develop closure plans. When final, the remediation plans will be incorporated into each CCR permit. The process begins with a groundwater monitoring plan. The impacted groundwater is sampled and assessed to determine the level of contamination that exists above normal background. The boundary of the contamination is also determined. Sampling is underway at all 9 plant sites. ADEM has approved groundwater monitoring plans at the 3 plant sites where permits have been issued. The assessment of possible corrective measures, the next step in remediation, is at varying stages at each of the sites, but none is yet complete. The proposed remedy will be selected from the available corrective measures options subject to ADEM approval. The remediation plans will be subject to formal public comment period before becoming final and integrated into the CCR permits. We anticipate going out for public comment on the remediation plans for all sites before year end. ADEM will monitor groundwater remediation progress, and if necessary, plans will be adjusted during implementation to achieve regulatory cleanup standards. In order to obtain state authority over the regulation of coal ash and expand on the federal CCR rule, the department adopted a state CCR rule. Although the process of closing unlined impoundments and remediating contaminated groundwater is underway, the federal and state CCR rules under which they will be taking place are evolving. Our state CCR rules, adopted in 2018 and updated in 2020, were patterned after the federal CCR rules. As updates to the federal CCR rules become final, once the state CCR program is determined to be at least as protective as the federal CCR program, EPA will approve those portions of the state CCR rules. Upon approval by EPA, Alabama will have authority to operate the state CCR program in lieu of the federal program. Until EPA approves the ADEM CCR rules, CCR generators are required to comply with both state and federal CCR rules. Information on CCR rules, permitting, closure and remediation progress, and a CCR tutorial video are available on our website by selecting the blue CCR update icon near the bottom middle of our homepage. The second environmental contaminant being addressed in today's report is also an issue throughout the nation and here in Alabama. It involves per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, abbreviated PFAS. After providing some background and the concerns related to PFAS, today's report will summarize what federal actions and what state actions are underway to address this issue. We begin with some background and concerns related to PFAS. This family of chemicals has been produced and used since the 1940s. There are at least 5,000 chemical compounds in this family. The substances are characterized by a chemical bond between carbon and fluorine that is exceptionally strong, making them very stable. The stability and other characteristics make them useful as firefighting foams, oil and moisture resistant food packaging, clothing fire retardants, high temperature sealants and gasket materials, and many other applications used by the public every day. Until the early 2000s, these materials were considered safe from a health perspective and extremely beneficial for the usefulness. The stability of PFAS allows them to accumulate in humans. In the early 2000s, regulators began investigating potential health impacts from that accumulation in humans. High doses of certain PFAS were found to cause reproductive and other anomalies in lab animals. In 2009, EPA developed provisional lifetime exposure health advisories for two PFAS compounds, PFOA and PFOS, in drinking water. In 2016, a new lifetime health advisory level was established that was lower than the provisional levels by a factor of 8. The regulation of PFAS is a developing federal and state issue. Due to increasing public concern and at the urging of many states, including Alabama, in February 2019, EPA released a PFAS action plan. In February 2020, EPA published an update to the PFAS action plan. The progress noted includes EPA has determined it will regulate two PFAS in drinking water, PFOA and PFOS, but has not published maximum contaminant level, or MCL, standards for drinking water. EPA has developed and validated new testing methods for analyzing PFAS at the very low concentrations thought to affect human health. They have issued interim recommendations to address PFOA and PFOS soil and groundwater contamination, including interim guidance on PFAS disposal methods, but have not set cleanup standards. EPA is evaluating designating PFOA and PFOS as hazardous substances under CERCLA and requiring toxic release inventory reporting. EPA now requires prior approval for any new PFAS put on the market. They are targeting certain enforcement actions under the Federal Safe Drinking Water Act and Toxic Substances Control Act. This is difficult to do without established standards. EPA is continuing research with health and toxicity studies, drinking water surveys, PFAS detection methods, and PFAS removal methods. They are assisting states. In our case, EPA assisted with portions of the 3M interim consent order that will be discussed in a few moments. Those are some of the actions at the federal level. Here in Alabama, ADEM is being proactive in controlling PFAS, though without federal PFAS standards, we must use means other than traditional enforcement tools. Although no PFAS drinking water standards, discharge limits, or cleanup standards exist, the department has nevertheless undertaken a number of initiatives to address PFAS issue in Alabama. ADEM has required all public drinking water systems in Alabama to test for the presence of a panel of PFAS compounds in finished drinking water. All public drinking water systems where PFOA and PFOS concentrations in the finished drinking water at or above the lifetime exposure health advisory level have been detected are required to report that information to their customers. As of today, 3 of the 579 public drinking water systems in Alabama have had monitored values above the 70 parts per trillion advisory level, and all 3 have installed PFAS removal technology. We are undertaking in-stream monitoring for selected watercourses where there is an increased likelihood of PFAS being present. Included are the Tennessee River near the 3M PFAS manufacturing plant, the Coosa River downstream from carpet manufacturing facilities in Georgia. This is being done in cooperation with EPA since it's an interstate matter. We will be doing in-stream monitoring of raw drinking water sources near drinking water systems with elevated PFAS levels in finished drinking water. And ADEM will be monitoring water courses near Department of Defense and other facilities engaged in firefighting training. Monitoring results will dictate additional actions. In Alabama, one manufacturer previously produced PFOA and PFOS, the 2 PFAS of most concern. It is the 3M Corporation facility located on the Tennessee River near Decatur. Although there is no enforceable environmental standards for PFAS, we have entered into a significant enforcement order to control PFAS from that facility. The 3M Corporation and ADEM entered into an interim consent order in July 2020. The order builds on successful past PFAS reduction and control initiatives going back to 2009. The interim consent order calls for identification of land disposal sites and contaminated groundwater on and off the plant site, including any private water wells in the contaminated groundwater area. Also, remediation of contaminated sites with site-specific methodologies that may include pump and treat, encapsulation, and institutional controls. The order calls for developing and implementing PFAS control technologies, including granular activated carbon beds, wastewater minimization, closed-loop systems, enhanced O&M procedures, and others to reduce releases. Regular monitoring and reporting of total soluble fluoride concentrations at the plant river water intake, at the wastewater treatment plant, at all stormwater and process water outfalls, and at air emission point sources. Measuring soluble organic fluoride covers all per and polyfluoroalkyl substances rather than just the dozen or so being studied by EPA currently. The order requires health studies, including toxicity determination and evaluation of the fate and transport of PFAS in the environment. EPA's Office of Research and Development will assist with the studies. These studies will advance nationwide efforts to better understand the health impacts of the PFAS family of compounds. I can report that all deliverables required of 3M thus far under the interim consent order have been provided timely to ADEM. Prompt detailed review by ADEM is taking place as the scheduled deliveries are received. All this information is available on the ADEM website. The order provides for significant predetermined or stipulated penalties for 3M's failure to meet deadlines or other non-compliance with the interim consent order. The interim consent order will be updated as needed, in particular when EPA develops PFAS standards. The Alabama Public Drinking Water PFAS testing results, a link to the EPA PFAS action plan, and a PFAS tutorial video are available on the ADEM website homepage by selecting the red PFAS update icon. Information on the 3M interim consent order progress is available on the ADEM website by selecting e-file icon and entering 3M Company under the facility. As has often been noted in the past, the professional development of our people is a high priority for the department. Today, I'm pleased to recognize those who have achieved significant milestones in their professional development. These are people who have the desire to excel and are willing to do the work. Earning the designation of Certified Public Manager is no small feat. Participation is voluntary. Many hours of personal time, rigorous coursework, and testing are required. My introduction of these individuals is somewhat belated due to COVID. They successfully completed the Certified Public Manager 1 program several months ago. They will be coming, we have them in the room, good. Some are not here with us. They'll be participating remotely through their computers. Since they will be masked and unavailable in person, I'll show their photos on the screen as I introduce them. In our air division, Jennifer Young-Peter, she is with us remotely. From our land division, Jared Kelly, also remote. Joe Kelly, no relation, also remote. Lynn Roper, where are you, Lynn? There she is in the back, raising her hand. From our water division, Blake Pruitt, she is with us remotely. And then in person, I think, Donna Adams. Donna, from our field operations division. Pam Valentine, Pam, from our field operations division. And Ashley Lockwood from field operations. We have from our Office of Environmental Quality, Sharon Moses, who is with us remotely. Also remote, Carrie Blanton in our legal Office of General Counsel. Todd Carter, who is, I think, out doing some legal actions. And I want to congratulate all of you who have earned the CPM 1. Y'all have done a lot of hard work, and we really do appreciate it. And if I could introduce one more person, Sean LeGraw, who is in our field office up in Decatur. He's with us remotely also. He has completed the Certified Public Manager 2, the advanced level. And I want to tell you all how much I appreciate your dedication, your hard work, and I congratulate you. Thank you for being here. With that, that concludes today's report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Question? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next option is a report from the commission chair. I'd like to publicly thank the director and the department for making a strong effort to keep us up to date on the PFAS and CCR happenings. It's an extremely complex and complicated situation, and we're trying to stay as much ahead of the curve as we possibly can. We appreciate all the help that we're getting from the department. Is there any other business that we would need to discuss today? If not, our next meeting will be April the 9th, 2021. Is there anybody with a known conflict for that day? Detect no conflicts. We have no one registered this morning to speak, so I think at this point we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.